we really love what we do. So
you can tell. That's so good. So good. Yeah.
So yours is going to be, are we doing them first? I didn't take a picture of it. I'll message it to you.
Yeah.
Because I didn't take a photo of the schedule.
It is in October. Yeah. I think it's like mid-October.
I want to say the 11th.
But that
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
We'll make sure that's correct.
I was listening to so many other podcasts. Nobody said fuck once today. What's going on?
I try not to when there's a doctor on.
Oh my God. I feel like that needs to be the clip that goes on Instagram.
I can do that.
Oh my God.
Because you were talking about the people who can eat and eat and all this stuff. And we have a medical term for people who can eat and eat all they want and not gain weight. It's called bitch.
Oh, nice.
So I wasn't sure if I was going to pull it out today, but anyway.
I love it.
Okay, we're definitely doing a
number 2. Yes, with Dr. Pesta.
And then we'll swear up a storm just for you.
Okay. I love it. Guys, we all need our vitamins after surgery, regardless of what you think.
Yes.
It's a must.
Yes. So why not choose the easiest and the best tasting in the community?
Seriously, it's ProCare, guys. ProCare is so delicious. I use their chewable for over a year. That's how I know.
Yes, and I love their capsules.
Yes.
Love them. They're once a day. I take them at night. Easy peasy, and my labs are fantastic.
Yeah, our labs are great, and I've actually switched to the capsules, and I take those at night now. So if you guys need your iron, they have them with iron, and they have them iron-free. They even have calcium chews.
Yes, the calcium chews, perfect. They have mocktail ones, chocolate. They have also some caramel and a cinnamon roll.
They're freaking delicious. So go over to procarenow.com and use our code OSLP to save some money.
Prepping and measuring your food post-op is a beast all in itself. But Portion Perfection has actually made it super, super simple. They have bowls, plates, and even a lunch bag called the Kit and Carry where you can have all of the system ready to go.
Yeah, we love carrying that thing around with us. It's so much easier to pack your lunch, your snacks, especially when you're on a road trip. That thing is a lifesaver.
Yes.
So if you want to get these things to help your journey, just go over to portionperfection.com and use our code 15OSLPOD. And again, that's 15OSLPOD. And you can also go over to our Amazon storefront to pick out any of those that you would like to use. If you could take a quiz today about weight loss surgery, how well do you think you would score? Well, there is an app for that, and it's called NewTriHealth.
Yes, it has 12 modules. You watch a video, read an article, and then you get to take the quiz. If you want to be the most prepared for the journey that lies ahead, go over to NewTriHealth.com and put our Sleeve Life podcast as your provider. All know how difficult post-op life can be.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking hard, guys.
Yes. And so a way to make it a little bit easier is by joining the T.R.I.B.E membership program. It has been created by a registered dietitian. She's actually the sleeve dietitian on Instagram. Her name is Jamie. And she's created this whole membership program just to support us.
Yeah, like we've had her on the podcast. We love her to freaking death. And then 2, like she has full experts in their field that help you. And they've had bariatric surgery, almost every one of them.
Yes.
And the sleeve dietitian is freaking smart because she has almost a support group every single day, guys. Yes. You're going to get an email. It's going to tell you which ones are for today. And you can just sign up and hang out with people that are just like you. And I've even used the journal prompts. I'm into journaling, and that was way helpful to just go somewhere that can help you and just get your mind going.
Yes.
So if you need this kind of support, which a lot of us do, go to her website and use our code OSLP at checkout to get your discount. Welcome back, OSLP family. Welcome, welcome.
You are listening to our Sleeve Life podcast, and this is Kelly.
This is Ma.
And I may sound a little weird today. I may sound a little raspy. I just spent 5 glorious days in Florida.
Yeah.
And I was in Disney for 2 of those days, and I have lost my voice thanks to Jamie.
I'm saying actually it's because you and Jamie talk way too much.
We did not stop talking the entire time we were together.
Yeah.
Like we literally stopped talking at 2 a.m., got up at 6 a.m. to get ready for the parks, and continued our conversations just incessantly.
It's insane.
Yes.
Insane.
So if I'm a little raspy, I apologize, but I will get back to normal here soon.
Yes.
And we want to talk about the events we have coming up.
Yeah, because we have a couple.
Yes. And first and foremost is our event that we are hosting,
Woo-woo.
the Just Be You Bariatric Award Show. It is on November 12th in Portland, Oregon, at the Aladdin Theater.
Yeah.
And it is a historic theater, and it is incredible.
Yes. And we get to walk the pink carpet. I can actually see it on the opposite side of this monitor.
Over there.
It is huge. It's beautiful.
It is.
We want you to come just as you are, because you're going to have so much fun. And we actually have a photographer just for the pink carpet.
So you will get professional photos on the pink carpet. And speaking of the pink carpet, we have the most incredible sponsors that are going to be presented behind you. And we love to talk about them because without this, it wouldn't be possible.
Correct.
So our top sponsor, our number one, you guys all know who it is. It's ProCare.
ProCare.
We love them.
Yes.
I mean, I have glorious labs because of ProCare.
Yes. And I swapped now to taking it at night, and it really is helping.
It is? Yay!
Yeah.
So my trick helped.
Her trick did help.
That is my trip.
Yeah.
My trick.
Your trip?
My trick. Because sometimes the iron can mess with your stomach, but if you're already asleep,
then you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I take it at night. And now so does Melanie.
I do. And I love it. And what's really funny about Kellie going to Florida with Jamie is Jamie's a sponsor.
She is a sponsor. She's so cool. I absolutely love her. And she has so much heart that goes into this community.
Yes. And if you guys don't know who we're talking about, it's a sleeve dietitian. She runs a T.R.I.B.E membership.
Yes.
And we both are involved in it. We love it. I got some prompts to do for my journaling. Through them.
Yep.
So we really, really recommend having someone like that in your corner.
Yeah. And it's really nice because all of the support groups are ran by her tribe leaders. And almost all of the tribe leaders are bariatric patients.
Yep.
I think there's a couple that aren't. But I mean, really, the majority of them know exactly where you are because they've been through it too.
Which is amazing.
So
that's my favorite part.
We absolutely love it. She is just an incredible woman.
I know. So. And the next incredible woman is losing a bloomie.
Yes, Miss Michaela Miller.
Yeah.
We actually just dropped her episode that
we did.
And she made me cry.
She did make you cry.
She did make me cry.
She made you feel your feelings.
Yeah, whatever. I do have feelings.
You do. You do.
They're deep down.
And that's why we love Michaela. So if you guys don't know who she is, it's Losing and Blooming on Instagram.
Yeah, she's a life coach.
Yes. And she's also bariatric patient. She's 6 years out. So she knows all of the things and how hard it is in your maintenance stages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Our next sponsor is Surgical Associates of Bayonet Point. They are located in Florida. They were actually an hour from me in Orlando. And they have some cool things going on in their program where they focus on exercise.
Yeah, on the aftercare part.
Yeah. And they actually have one of those machines. I don't know the technical word.
It's body composition.
That thing, the body composition machine. And it really gives you a accurate look at what your weight is.
Yes.
It's not just your weight is not just fat.
No.
Your weight has a lot to do with your muscles and your bones and all of that. So it gives you a more accurate look at it. So I think that's really cool. And we just love them. We fell in love with them from the beginning.
Yeah, because they're all about us in this community and making sure we have good information. So they're going to be at the award show. So you guys get to see them. That's going to be really fun. And then the next sponsor is my surgeon, guys.
Yes.
How cool is that? Dr. Emma Patterson was like, yes, I support you guys in what you're doing. And she has taken care of me and my brother. And we are, we're being successful. So I'm very excited that she's a part of this.
I'm really excited. Plus, she's going to present an award.
Yes, she is.
With my surgeon at the show. So Dr. Thompson has finally agreed. We had to do a little she's like, I don't want to give a speech. And I'm like, it's not a speech. You're presenting an award.
Yeah.
So she finally agreed. Well, Ellen kind of agreed for her. And then when I saw her, she was like, yeah, I'll do it. So they're both going to present an award together, which is going to be, I can't wait to see it.
I know, it's going to be so
it's
cool.
our surgeons. So we have a special place for them.
Yep.
Our next sponsor is, of course, Dr. Joe.
Dr. Joe.
We love Dr. Joe, Marty, Heather. They tirelessly work at getting information into this community.
Yeah, they do.
And so they are going to be there, not only presenting an award, but also they are a sponsor.
Yes,
So,
they are.
very
How
excited.
cool is that?
Mhm.
And then we have Dr. Eric Smith from the
Yes.
1,000 Pound Sisters on TLC.
Yes.
We're so excited for him because the Georgetown facility,
Surgical Associates?
yeah,
Yeah.
Georgetown Surgical
Yeah.
Associates. They are sponsoring the award show, which we
Yes.
couldn't be more happy with.
Yes. And we actually have met him and recorded with him several times.
Yep.
So it's really cool that he's going to be there.
Mhm.
And he's just a very sweet guy.
Yeah, we have a really cool episode coming out with him.
Yes. So
So-
stay tuned for that.
That's right.
Our next one is Miss Tabitha. She is the real Berry Boss on
Mhm.
Instagram, and she is a bariatric therapist. And if you haven't kind of gotten the theme yet, we are getting sponsored by these people that you need throughout your surgery.
You do. You
and
do.
after the surgery.
This is what will make you successful. You have
Exactly.
your vitamins, you have your dietitian, you have your therapist, you have your
Mhm.
surgeons, and you have your life coaches and transformation coach,
which
'cause
is
Nolani,
Nolani
yeah.
on Bariatrics is a
Mhm.
transformation coach.
right?
So you get a little bit of everything. And that's what we want to focus on is that it's not just it's not just you working in this journey. It's your whole team.
Yeah, you need a whole team.
Yes.
So, and then, so that's the award show side.
Yes. So next, I'm really excited about this because we're going to go to San Diego, back to San Diego.
Back to San Diego.
And we're going to be there from so the event is the 22nd through the 24th.
Yes.
And it is brought to you by EOC, which is Elias Ortiz
And company.
and Company.
Yeah.
And we are going to go hang out at their convention, learn lots of stuff, bring it back to you guys. Right. We're even going to take a few days with our
With our
toys.
guys. Yeah. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. So we're going to be in San Diego. So if you are near there or want to come out,
Go
please,
buy tickets. Go. It's in
please.
the bio, man.
Yeah.
Like, click
Yep.
the link and go hang out with us because we're going to be there all weekend long.
yes.
So
Now go to patreon.com/OSLP and sign up to be a Benchie.
Mhm.
It's a $7 tier. You get to be in our exclusive Facebook support group.
Yep.
We have over 200 people in that group, and they all are just very supportive, no negativity. It is our perfect little piece of heaven, bariatric heaven.
And they support us just as much as we support them. It's pretty incredible over there.
It
Yeah,
is.
they trade recipes and tips and tricks and vitamin stuff. So it's like,
Yep.
it's very important to go over there and check that out because if you don't have someone at home that understands, this is where you're going to be so
Yes.
welcomed.
And we've been having some incredible conversations lately. So if you're on our Instagram at all
Yep.
and you see us like kind of focusing on what we're talking about on the podcast through our social media, we're continuing that conversation over in the Benchies.
Yep.
So you get more detail, more life experience over
Mhm.
there. So make sure to do that. Now, while you're on your phone or your computer, go to youtube.com or click the little app because it's preloaded on your phone.
That's right. We all know you have one. Just click on it.
Yes.
Put our name in. We're the only ones.
Yes.
And hit the subscribe and bell button because we actually have video recordings of all of these.
Mhm.
And if you guys knew, we've had a special guest sitting here this whole time.
Yes, while we rattle on about
Yep.
all the stuff that we're
He
doing.
is so nice and so patient.
Yes.
So
So we want to welcome on Dr. Carl Pesta.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being on today. Oh, muted.
That's okay.
It happens.
No worries.
All right.
There,
we
he
go.
is.
There he is. We got
We
you.
made it.
Made
All
it.
right.
Put ahead all the lighting. It's great to join you guys. Thanks so much for having me. And what an exciting lineup you have.
Thank you. We're pretty excited about it. It's
Yeah.
the first one, the only one, and we're gonna celebrate this community with a night
Every
full of
year.
awards.
That's
yeah,
right.
every year.
Every year, man.
And you're welcome. I could attend as well.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, Dr. Pesta, that'd be awesome if you came.
If you were able to come, we would, roll out the pink carpet for you.
That's right.
I'm
Because-
excited.
Yeah, it's November 12th, so come hang out. Yep.
Come to Portland. We've got
That's
a
awesome.
lot of people coming in,
We
so we're really excited about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Mel, Dr. Patterson's one of my favorite people. She's just awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I know her very well. I was just with her in Miami a little while ago at a conference, and she just such energy. I love her personality. She's great to hang out with.
Oh, she's a fun one. Like me and her matched really well.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of interesting. You match your surgeon and I match mine like perfectly.
Yeah. We're both, me and my surgeon will talk for hours, and your surgeon, Dr. Thompson or Dr. Patterson and Mel, they are just like, let's get it done and move on.
Yep. We're to the point.
Yep. Straight shooters.
Like, so good.
Oh, that's so great. Well, I was thinking back to where we all met. You guys remember where that was?
Yes.
It was a little better setting than
Vegas.
Currently.
Yes. That was a fun weekend.
That was a great weekend.
It really was. Yeah, I had a great time there. It was my first event with them, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It was really fun. And I don't know if you remember, and this may sound weird, but we were all in the hot tub after, and we had a Benchie member that was having a hard time finding an office. And I had mentioned it, and you said, have her get a hold of me and I will help her. And you did. And she was so grateful for the help. So thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Cool
I absolutely love what I do, obviously. And that's why I'm so passionate about it and so happy to talk about it anytime.
Good.
Yes.
So let's talk about why you got into this field.
How did you get into this field?
Well, I did my general surgery training, and I graduated. It's getting longer and longer ago, but I finished my residency in 2001 as a general surgeon. And I started my practice doing general surgery stuff like gallbladders and hernias and appendicitis cases, take care of a little bit of trauma.
Okay.
And there were a few surgeons that were at the hospital where I started my practice in Michigan. By the way, I'm practicing in Michigan, Detroit area, just about 25 minutes northeast of the city. And there were some other surgeons doing it. And I in my training and during residency, it was, bariatric surgery wasn't really a thing then. It was still kind of early. Yeah. Even though, it's dated back quite a while, but still in my training, it wasn't really a big thing. And so there were some surgeons at the hospital who were doing it, and they were moving on to another program somewhere else in the city. And the hospital, of course, loved the volume, loved the patients. And they, me being a new surgeon on staff, they said, "Hey, Dr. Pesta, would you like to, take over the bariatric program?" And, sure, I would love to. And so my introduction was working with these surgeons, and we got a couple other surgeons together, and we started working. Now that was back when bariatric surgery was primarily done open with an open incision. So, it wasn't, though some of the earlier guys started maybe a little earlier. I started the laparoscopic approach around 2005. So 2 or 3 years into my bariatric practice. So we did a lot of open surgeries back in the day.
What is that like exactly? Like for opening?
Well, yeah. So, it's dependent on the patient size, and men versus women are different. But you make the incision and, getting into the abdomen itself. So, we've got multiple layers. We've got our skin layer, we got our fat layer, we got our muscle layer, and then we get into the belly where the guts are. And so, you could go through, 4 to 6 inches of adipose tissue or fat tissue before you got into the abdomen.
Wow.
And then literally reaching in, you could be elbow deep. Some people say I'm elbow deep in something, and you'd be working down in the stomach while your elbows are at the level of the skin. So
holy crap.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a completely different world.
Yeah.
So recovery was obviously a lot tougher with the bigger incision, but people managed and they did well.
Yeah.
But that's how I got started. And so, ever since then, I had a great buddy that I worked side by side with for probably 15 years, Dr. Keith Marshall, who's now retired down in Florida, but a really great mentor and taught me a lot about the art of bariatric surgery and working with patients. And, then I expanded from there, but it's just been so phenomenal. I love every aspect of it.
Yay.
How incredible.
What's your favorite part of doing bariatric surgery?
Well, it has to be the results. Now, if you go to, the operation itself, especially, now I do both laparoscopic and some robotic surgery. And it might sound funny saying this, but it's almost like a video game. You're in the motions and you're operating on a screen, especially with the robot. You're operating with your hands, but you're away from the patient. The robot is docked inside the patient and doing the maneuvers, but you're controlling it with your hands.
Right.
It's fully surgeon control. But I mean, you've got a good case, you got a good crew with you, a little bit of music playing in the background. That's the fun part of the operation. Now, what I really love about bariatric surgery is just the interaction with the patients. Yeah. I mean, when we go to medical school, they say, why do you want to be a doctor? I said, well, you want to help people. And honestly, when I talk to my other colleagues, whether they fix a hernia or fix a hip or take care of a trauma patient, I mean, to get the results that we get from not only a patient satisfaction standpoint, but a health standpoint, with all the benefits we know what bariatric surgery can do. I mean, it's just so rewarding. I mean, people changing their birthdays to their surgery day, people giving me hugs all over the time at the office. It's just so rewarding. And that's what I absolutely love about it. It's really great.
The people. I do want to also comment on the fact that you love music, and we actually have heard you sing.
Yes.
And you are an incredible singer.
Yeah.
So I want to give you props for that.
Well, I always say, I'm a singer, but I do surgery to pay the bills.
There you go.
I love it. I love it.
And then my ultimate retirement will be on a cruise ship where I'll be the ship doctor by day and the lounge act at night. So someday maybe we'll do a OSLP event on a cruise ship somewhere.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I say yes. Yeah.
I love it.
You can come out, get surgery, and while you recover, listen to Dr. Pesta sing.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's great.
And they can have a show with us.
Yeah.
Good to go, man.
You get all of it.
So you said that you do laparoscopic and robotic. So what makes you go back and forth?
Well, that's a great question. Some people are fully laparoscopic. Some people are fully robotic. Some people do a little bit of both. And I've chosen, for a number of reasons, I do my gastric bypass and sewing procedures robotically.
Okay.
It's a more complex procedure also. The sleeve procedures, I just have a perfected technique that I really like, that are very efficient, and I like it laparoscopically. But really where I built out into my robotic practice was my assistant. I had this sweet nurse. Her name is Tracy. We trained her to be a first assist back in our early days of practice.
Okay.
And we worked together for 13, 14 years. And a very young girl in her mid 40s suddenly passed away, and I was without an assistant.
Whoa.
And I loved her dearly. Whenever I think of her, it brings tears to my eyes. But as we were getting into the robotic picture, we were kind of working through the process of, it's basically a new technique from how my laparoscopic gastric bypass was. And we were working into the robot, and suddenly about 6 months into our robotic training, she suddenly passed away. And I was left with residents and medical students who really didn't know how to assist in this complex procedure.
Yeah.
So with the robot, we have somebody patient side that kind of helps exchange instruments and may help a little bit. But then I was fully able to do the entire procedure essentially by myself. I control the camera, I control the assistant arm, and I control the operating arms. So from an ergonomic standpoint, you can get very fatigued working laparoscopically. So that helped out, but that was really the motivation that really pushed me over the edge. And so I do, some other robotic procedures. I do some robotic sleeves as well.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the availability of the machine, but that's really kind of how I separated the two procedures.
Okay. And are you doing any of the duodenal switches?
We've done a few and select patients. So, but that's another great opportunity to use the robot as well. The sewing it couldn't be, the company's called Intuitive. And I mean, it's really, and it's because you sit down at it, it's just intuitive how you work it, whether, when you're using your hands, you suddenly turn your wrist, and then all of a sudden on the inside of the machine, the robot is turning the wrist. And so you can imagine placing a suture versus what we call straight stick. You have to kind of do this with the laparoscopic. And so it's an art. With the robot, it just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and we got to play with it
at the ASMBS conference. Yeah,
it was so fun.
We walked in and we're like, we're podcasters, we're not doctors.
No.
And we're like, can we play with the machine? Like, we just want to see what it's all about. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So we both sat down and like Mel took control first and then I had control.
Well, it was fun because like I could pick up the skin, move it around or whatever. And then I got to control the left hand. Kellie controlled the right hand. And we both like cheersed our stuff and like
cheersed it,
wrapped it.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's really cool seeing those type of things in person.
Yeah.
Because we talk so much about it, but we had no idea how it actually
That thing is
worked.
Massive.
Yeah.
Like that is huge machine, guys. Like this robot is crazy looking.
Yes.
Like it's scary at first because there's lots of points down, but then like once you play with it, it really is like a video game. Like it's almost like you're playing like an arcade game with a stick, because like that's the only I can relate it to. Cause like that, when you move your hand, the thing actually goes and you're like, whoa, this is really cool.
We do have a picture of us in front of the machine.
Yeah,
so
we do.
We may have to post that here soon.
For sure. For sure.
The technology, it is amazing. And you obviously experienced, you can see how it is just almost second nature.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing, especially in our society and otherwise, is obviously technology is affecting everything in our lives.
Yeah.
And if you have one more safety barrier between you and the patient, that can, and there's so many stopgaps that are built into that machine that you can't operate it if you're looking away. If your arm is off screen, it'll make you look at the arm before you can move it. So there's so many safety features that are built into it.
Yeah.
And of course, other things with blood flow and we have so many different ways of looking at the anatomy, 4 times the visualization. So, I mean, technology is affecting everything. And I think the robots are really going to have an impact on that as well.
I like the measuring too for the, with the gator.
We call it the gator.
That it can't, like, it picks, like it measures it.
What we've learned through Dr. Dovak and everybody is that like you have different sizes of the staples, right? And then with the robot, it actually adjusts the staples as you're going. So that way it actually mirrors what it needs to be for your body. Cause like my body might be a little bit different than Kellie's. So like it's just going to actually, like, the technology is so cool that it actually like goes a little bit down, then it comes a little bit back up. Right. Is that what I'm understanding?
It'll give you feedback to know if the tissue is too thick or too thin.
Yeah.
We're not quite to the level where it'll actually deliver the appropriate staple. That will be the next iteration, I think.
Okay.
But it'll tell you, okay, this tissue is too thick. You need to switch to one of those other staple loads that you were talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, technology continues to advance. Yeah.
It's pretty rad.
So speaking of the ASMBS conference.
Yeah.
Like, tell us, because you're in the inner circle of, I'm going to call it the inner circle of the ASMBS. So can you tell us what the ASMBS is and what the difference between like the foundation side and then,
the society side.
Yeah, the society side.
Absolutely. So the ASMBS stands for the American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery. And, when I joined back in 2005 or something like that, it was just called the ASBS, American Society of Bariatric Surgery. As research and developments became, we really learned that it's not just about rerouting the plumbing, it's about the metabolic aspects. And so it's so important to add that word metabolic. So American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery. And so it's been that way for quite a while. And that is really the parent society and the largest society that in the United States that deals with the disease of obesity from a surgical standpoint.
Okay.
There's a lot of other societies, obviously, that deal with the disease. But from the surgical standpoint, it really is the leader. And we have branches now with part of the International Federation of Surgical Obesity. If so, we've got a chapter with them. But it's really the go-to for education when it comes to surgical knowledge in bariatric surgery. So I've been a part of the society for a long time. I love attending the meetings. It's great networking and a great opportunity to just catch up on what's the latest, what's happening. We learn tips and tricks of how to improve our techniques. We network with each other. One thing people say is that surgeons are very competitive and everybody thinks that, they always say, if you ask 2 surgeons who are the best 2 surgeons in the state, he's going to have a hard time coming up with the other person's name. So,
Nice.
But really what we've learned, through our networking and through getting together is that we've all got something to learn from each other. And I think those meetings really bring that out. We bring on students and interns and residents who will present their papers, their research, and not to mention it's always in some cool city. So we get to go somewhere and take a little time off from the day-to-day activities, get together with friends, and I have been honored to do a lot of speaking at the society meetings. It's been really great. So that's what I love about that. And then in relation to the foundation, now the foundation, which I'm president of this year, I'm very fortunate to be the president of the foundation. And that came through some mentorship, through some really close friends, Dr. Marina Kurian, who is going to be our incoming society president, Dr. Rami Lutfi from Chicago, and some others who, we changed the idea of what the foundation was doing. The foundation, at its basis, raises funds to pay for research in the field of metabolic and bariatric surgery. So a number of fundraisers throughout the year. And then what we do is we distribute grants to our surgeons throughout the country who are looking to do a research project. For instance, last year, we provided a grant to a surgeon who was looking at functional MRI. So we all know what an MRI is, but if you look at a functional MRI, it will then map, let's say, the pleasure center of the brain and how when you're eating, the pleasure center lights up. That functional MRI can give you that information. Well, he's looking at how after weight loss surgery, patients who have weight regain, what is that functional part of their brain doing? So we were able to fund some of this research.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's really what the foundation is about. Raising money to fund research.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love what that doctor's trying to figure out too, because that's super interesting. Because there are certain things that light up, obviously, when you do certain things. And so it's like good to figure out like, oh, is this A, B, and C triggering me, causing lights up in here, and then I eat? Like that would be really cool to figure out.
Yeah. I know that I recently heard about a medication that you can take where I think it's called Mounjaro. Something like that.
Oh, he's nodding.
Yeah. Okay. I got it right. So it actually as you take it, it increases not only does it decrease your hunger and it keeps you from overeating, because it's also increasing your satiation.
Satiation.
The satisfaction part of it. Because when you're for me being a food addict, when I'm eating, I may realize I'm full, but that desire to still keep eating is still there. And it's supposed to stop you from
suppress.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I thought it was really cool because I didn't even know that was available. Something like that. So.
And we are seeing so much, medications obviously are still at the infancy phase, but we're seeing more and more improvements. So, combining medications with surgery, improving outcomes that way. So, there's just so much research to be done from that to surgical techniques to how the gut interacts after weight loss surgery. And so, there's a lot of things changing in the foundation right now, and we're at a super exciting time to be a part of that. It's our 25th anniversary. We're completing our 25th anniversary of the foundation. We're going through a rebranding process, looking at, how can we impact more people? Because let's say you think about heart disease. What group comes to mind? The American Heart Association.
Yes.
If you think of cancer, we think of the American Cancer Society. And so really with the ASMBS, that's exactly what it is. It is that go-to society when you think of what are the treatments for obesity, especially in the surgical realm. And then, the foundation, we're continuing to broaden our focus from not only to just research, but, for treatments, for research, for education. And our big goal is to end obesity, just like the American Cancer Society, that their goal is to end cancer. Our goal, it's a lofty goal, but, with the right amount of funding and sponsorship and research, we could potentially put an end to this disease.
which would be incredible.
Yeah, because like I think as long as we all just work together to get that done, because like we need more people that are talking about it. Like the awareness needs to be way, way higher than it is right now. Because some people don't even realize that obesity is a disease. Like they just literally think we're lazy and that's why we're obese.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, some people are lazy, and you know, but the majority of people, like there's something else going on.
Right.
It's not just cut and dry of like, well, all you do is lay there and eat. Because lots of us want to have a life, and this is what's keeping us from having a life.
And we've known people that have worked out harder and longer periods than the smaller people and still lose nothing. Like, or they just maintain or lose a little bit. It's because of what's going on inside their body and their body chemistry. And I think we got to shift the focus to it's a disease. We need to help each other and figure out like what is part of the disease is hurting you. Because it might be different for us. Like mine might be different than yours. So it's like, hey, we just got to figure it out. And the best way to do that is bring awareness.
To piggyback on top of that, like when we did our live episode at the Bariatric Society last November, we talked with Dr. Shapiro, and she said that food addiction isn't even considered a real addiction.
It's not classified as an addiction.
Even though it hits every single marker.
It passes,
And so I think, you know, not only realizing that obesity is a disease, but food addiction, binge eating, that is a disorder. It is an addiction. And we kind of treat it, I feel like once you have bariatric surgery, we kind of treat it like our own brand of AA a little bit.
100%.
You know, you have to have your support. You have to have your therapy. You have to have your dietitian. You have to have all those things in place, just like you would if you were an alcoholic or a drug addict trying to get treatment for it. So I think that all of us together can help that happen.
Yeah, and just like any of those other processes, there may be relapses, and that's exactly why you need the support of all these other people. And I couldn't agree with you more that, you know, still physicians are, with the exception of those that are in obesity medicine, people are starting to get it. But believe me, in the past 20 years I've been in practice, there has been a large shift in the thought process of other clinicians. But there's still a lot of docs that think just the same, and they don't support the surgery. So we're doing our best to educate them as well, to let them know that this is a disease. I mean, listen, we know a lot of lazy, thin people too.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So because you're big or small does not make it the end all be all.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you're right. The support is just absolutely paramount. And so what you guys do for the community is, I just couldn't applaud you more. You know, I started mentioning people that you guys invited me on the show. I mean, my whole crew was so supportive and excited. Like, oh my gosh, we love these girls. And so I love what you do. And you know, I'm honored to be on here. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate you too, because you are a wealth of knowledge. And I think too, is like, if we can like tap into preventative care, like I know that's where I like to tap in at, because like if we can hit it in the beginning, then we'll have better like success in long term, especially with our kids. Like, I have a 16-year-old, but I feel so bad for him because he has my genes. Because no matter what he eats, he gains like immediately. And it's really rough for him because he has lots of guy friends that can shovel whatever they want, whenever they want, and they are so tiny. And he's like, Mom, it's not fair. And I go, I know, honey, I'm so sorry. But like, you can still have those things. It's just like smaller, like moderation here. And like me just even talking to him about it, like my parents never did that with us. No. Like we got to start as parents talking to our kids about food correctly and not be all scared. Like we don't need to say bad or good. We just say like, this isn't healthy. Like this doesn't help us in our day. Because I noticed that seems to click with Dylan more when I give him the why, right? The whys are so much better.
Them to look it up, because I've done that with my boyfriend's daughter, Bianca. She'll go so we have Dutch Brothers here, which is a coffee place. And I like them because they have a lot of sugar-free options, but she does not get the sugar-free options. She gets, it's called a caramelizer with extra caramel.
Oh my God, we looked this up.
And she FaceTimed me one day and I was like, what are you drinking? And she's like, oh, I got a caramelizer from Dutch Brothers. And I was like, I want you to look that up. I just feel like maybe we should know how much sugar and carbs and things that are in it. And maybe that would make, like, in my thought, I was like, well, maybe that'll make her make a better decision.
Right.
And she looked it up and it was like,
it's insane.
It was insane. It blew our minds. Like, we knew it was bad because
it was like 2 to 3 days worth of sugar and carbs. It was in one drink because she's got to get the largest. Yeah.
And the next time she went, she actually was like, I got a caramelizer, but I got it in small this time.
I was like, that's better.
So I was like, okay, all right, baby steps. Yeah. Baby steps. We're making it happen a little bit at a time. And
there you go.
So
information works.
That conversation, not only with our kids, but with other people.
Yeah.
And if people know me at all from the years that we've been on this podcast, is that I will talk to anybody about it. I don't care. It could be the grocery store attendant, the gas attendant, crocodile. It doesn't matter. Like, I'll talk to it. And I just openly talk about it, and I'll see people's faces when I say, like, oh, I have a weight loss surgery podcast, and they'll be like,
yeah.
And then I'm like, I had weight loss surgery and I lost, like, and I start like saying all the benefits of it. And I'll be like, I'm 3 years out. My co-host is 7 years out. We've kept off a good chunk of the weight. And they're like, oh, really? And it's like, that's actually like, it's happening. Like, people are really rocking it if you just like open your minds a little bit to the possibility of it.
Yes.
I hear my patients say that a lot. They mention they had bariatric surgery, and then of course everybody opens up. And maybe even the person they're talking to is like, oh my gosh, I did too. Or my mom did, or my sister did, or my brother did. But just touching on the other thing you mentioned, adolescent obesity is obviously a big problem in the United States and really any developed countries. So, we're making efforts to reach out, just like you're talking about, because it does start there. And just the knowledge of reading labels, you probably had a pre-surgical class where, they talk about reading labels because some people just don't learn that.
Yeah.
And, it's important. And these kids, of course, teenage brains are still developing.
Yep.
They're trying everything else and they just don't think that you can live on forever and you got nothing to worry about. And so that's absolutely important that we start to share that message with our children. And you guys, like you said, you have, other people that are around you. And that's another thing I hear my patients say is that, my husband's eating better now since my surgery, so are my children. So, our patients are just inspirations to so many other people, opening their eyes to the benefits. And not only that, but, just to kind of live a healthier life.
Yeah.
Is really great.
To the part about the opening up, what's funny is I was in Disney and I decided my flight didn't leave until 8 p.m. So I'm like, I'm going to Disney Springs. So I take the boat from the resort over to Disney Springs, and there's these two ladies with two adorable little girls behind me. And I started talking to them, like, because I was talking to the little girl, because it had been obvious that she was at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Like, she saw the hair going on and everything.
So cute.
And so I'm like, what princess did you pick? And I'm like, just talking to her. And the grandma starts talking. We start just randomly chatting. And she's like, so when are you leaving? And I was like, oh, I fly out tonight. I was just here for a few days. There was an event that I was attending. And she's like, oh, what event? And so I told her, it was a bariatric meetup. I run a bariatric podcast. And she looks at me and she's all, I just had surgery. And I was like, okay, here's my information. Like, let me know if you have any questions. Cause she was still like really newly post-op.
Yeah.
And so it was really fun because if I hadn't opened up about my story, she wouldn't have felt comfortable opening up about hers.
Right.
And it kind of trickles down because they're like, oh, well, this random chick on a boat decided to talk to me about it. So why not, like, I'll talk to this person next. Or, it just opens up the conversation to more of the community, to the whole world.
Yep.
And not just our little slice of heaven here.
I know. It's so much easier once you start talking. I know that personally because I was so ashamed.
She didn't tell anybody.
I didn't tell anybody. Just my family that knew and a couple friends. Like, if you didn't talk to me on a daily basis, you had no idea.
Yeah.
So like I was very embarrassed about it. I was like very frustrated that this is what I said to myself. I let myself get so big that I would need a surgery to help me. And I was upset about that. And I got to over 300 pounds and I just could not believe it because I was just like shell shocked when I saw the scale and I was like, that's not really me. It can't be, but like I'm a numbers girl. That totally is my number.
Yeah. So when we started the podcast, I actually remember turning to Mel and I was like, so that people are now going to know you had surgery, right?
Like, yes,
this is kind of a thing. And she's like, yes, I'm ready. And I'm like, ready. Okay, I just want to warn you because people are going to know now.
Yeah.
So what was it that, you decided to finally open up, that you said, okay, I'm comfortable with this? Was it Kellie? Or,
I think it's Kellie.
What I'm asking for is what advice we can give our patients. Obviously it has to be a mental decision, but
yes, I needed someone that actually has gone through it to understand what I was going through and what I went through. And I needed that camaraderie. And because I never had anybody around me that was like that I felt like, okay, I can just be a normal person under the radar, basically. Like I'm a bariatric patient, but no one really knows.
Yeah.
And I can kind of hide here. But because now I'm like fully immersed in the community, I'm like, yeah, this is what I do. Like we're good to go.
Yep.
But it took another person.
Yeah.
And that's why I am all about like, that's why we have the support group. Cause I'm like, I didn't have support for the first 3 years. So it's like, come hang out with us. I'll support you all day long. That's why we do feel like we're like sponsors for people because people will message us in the middle of the night and we'll message them and they're just like, oh my God, you're real and you will help me. And I'm like, we will find you whatever you need. We have resources. And if we can't find it, we'll find someone else that can. Like,
we've made some great friends within this group that can help. I mean, you helped our Benchie, and I'd never met you before. So it was really nice that, you can literally go to anybody and be like, hey, I've got this person, they're having major issues. Like, what can we do to support them? Because I think that's the hardest thing, especially with insurance. Yeah. Because this takes a lot of support and some insurances like don't cover therapy after bariatric surgery. And it's like, if you want them to succeed, you want them to keep this weight off so that you don't have to pay out of pocket for the slew of other disorders that they will get if they're overweight, but you won't cover basic therapy and dietitian appointments.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah, because I had to pay $500 for my dietitian out of pocket. Yeah.
And our insurance was amazing. So that's saying something.
Yeah.
So.
One of the committees that I'm on is called the Access to Care Committee for the ASMBS. And we really look at, there's a big thing we've been trying to push through Congress and the legislation called the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act, where it looks at funding on a national level. So states vary as far as their coverage. So certain states have great coverage, certain states have really lousy coverage. And so that committee that I serve on, we're always looking at who could use that help. Sometimes it's trying to get rid of that 6 months or 12 months of weight, medical management prior to your surgery, or it's looking at increasing coverage for therapy that may be needed afterwards. So, that's another thing that the society does very well. We've got, I think 32 different committees that look at different focuses, from patient education to access to care to research. And so, the body of surgeons and integrated health, we all come together at those committees and tackle a number of different things. So that's another thing that the society does very well.
I totally get behind supporting that.
Yeah, I'm down. In my head, I was like, how do I get to Congress? Who will send me? And I will talk to Congress, like about my experiences and all the things that I know and how we all need them.
We go to Washington. And so, next time we go, I'll keep you guys in mind and let you know when we go and we meet with the legislators, and we would love to have you along. I mean, you guys are just great spokespersons for everything. And that'd be great.
Oh my goodness. That would be really a dream come true, Dr. Pesta.
Yeah. I might have to take a shot of tequila before we do that because I get a little nervous. It's weird because I own a podcast, or half own a podcast, and I can talk in front of anybody one-on-one, but you put me in front of a group and I'm like, okay, I need some tequila on me and then I can go out and talk. But the first live event we did, I was actually pacing.
Oh, so funny.
Like freaking out because I don't do public speaking. I don't like.
You wouldn't think that.
No, you wouldn't, but it is a thing for me. Yep. So that's when the shot of tequila tradition started coming in.
Yep.
But I will support that whole mission.
Yeah. Like I was like all about, I was like, okay, how do we figure this out? Because that is one of my missions, is to get it to where like it's covered for everybody.
Yeah.
And like, how do we do that? Because we get it. Insurance is expensive and we can figure that out in the back end, but like we should have coverage for this because it's going to help people live longer, better quality of life, less doctor's appointments, like less surgical stuff down the road. I come from a family full of like heart disease and cancers. Like poor Kellie has had to watch so much shit go down. Like she watched, was it a stroke or the heart attack?
It was the heart attack.
So me and her watched my dad physically have a heart attack in my living room. And then like a year and a half later, I watched him have a stroke in the living room. Like it is insane, guys, to watch these things happen to your family member and know that it can be prevented. If like my dad just didn't understand nutrition at all. He loved like mayonnaise sandwiches and bologna and fried everything.
It can come in a time and a place, but not every day.
Not every day.
Yeah.
And he had no idea. Like I remember when the doctor was like, "Hey, we need to bring down your sodium level." And he's like, I don't put salt on things. Like they're like, it's the frozen dinners. They have lots of salts. And we're like, oh, like my parents had no idea how to read the label and know what was good and what wasn't. Like they weren't taught that in the 60s and 70s. So they had no clue. So I didn't have a clue. So it's like, hey, some of this stuff is very preventable. Hence why I like preventable care. And we can really help people live longer. Because my dad was only 59 when he died. So it's like, bro, he had a heart attack, stroke, and then liver cancer.
You just call your dad bro.
I did. Yeah. And then 3 years later, died from liver cancer, which is also preventable. It's 99% preventable. So it's just so frustrating when we can take care of it. If we just took care of our bodies just maybe even 10% more every freaking day, it would go a long way.
Not to mention, like, insurances don't like to cover it. But then like, for my case, like I had to switch insurances. My new insurance plan doesn't cover it at all. So I can't go and see my surgeon, my nutritionist, anything unless I'm paying out of pocket. Yeah. And I'm like, but I already had the surgery. Like
it's so confusing.
I need this to live. Like I need to be able to go and see my surgeon. And it's basically like, well, I guess you're paying out of pocket for that. And I've had really bad heartburn. I had the sleeve and we were talking about converting it over to bypass, and I had to switch insurances because my ex-husband and like all that stuff. So I had to get off of it. And now I'm like, now I don't have that as an option anymore because they don't cover
some of the insurances. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's unfair. Just like, you know, people who have open heart surgery because they smoked their entire life and ate poorly. If they need a revision, it gets paid for. They get all their follow-up care. Yeah. And that's where the bias is still kept, unfortunately. We have some insurances that say, okay, you get one bariatric surgery per lifetime. So, you know, that it's just not fair because we know obesity is a chronic, lifelong disease. It's a constant battle, and we absolutely need support. So I think, you know, and that's why we continue to reach out to policymakers, and you know, we're talking all the time with medical directors of insurance companies, and it's slow progress. It's slow, but there is progress, thank goodness. And I think we'll eventually reach that stage, Mel, where it will be covered, just like hip surgery is covered for, you know, or heart surgery is covered, or cancer surgery is covered. We will get there. And we still have some time, but we have to keep fighting the fight.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. We'll fight that good fight.
Yeah, we're fighting. We will do it
every day, man. Well, because also too, it's like, at least there is progress. Slow progress is better than no progress. Like we totally understand that. And that's why ASMBS is so important, because they're helping the funding for the research, for us to get better, for you to be able to go to Washington, or us to go to Washington and talk and do all those things. Like, and I know they have a walk coming up, I believe, right? For some fundraising.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So I would love to. The Walk from Obesity is something that's been part of the foundation for a while. And basically it's a fun run, fun walk where we get the community together. We just, in fact, had ours for Michigan this past weekend on Sunday, but there is a national walk from obesity. And that started during COVID. So there used to be individual walks in different states. Basically, somebody would get it started, and the local community would show up. Patients from different programs, and just an opportunity to get common people together to share their stories, to do something healthy, and to raise awareness, and then ultimately raise funds that would then go back to the foundation. And so our National Walk from Obesity, which again, like I said, started during COVID because we couldn't have together walks. it really worked out great. All of a sudden we had everybody online walking on the same day, raising money towards the same goal. And it was a huge success. So now that we're able to get back together, we're doing both. We have both the in-person walks like we did here in Michigan. There's just one recently, I believe, in Connecticut. There's some coming up in California, but we're going to do the national walk together. Yes. And then you can get information from that on www.asmbsfoundation.org. And it starts to talk about, especially what the foundation does. There's a nice video clip of, somebody talking about how bariatric surgery impacted their life and why they're donating. And so these walks are just a lot of fun. The national all-together walk will be virtual, but I don't know if you guys know, but I do live broadcasts every Sunday at 10 a.m. for my patients or whoever wants to tune in on Facebook. But we recorded part of our walk there. It's an opportunity to just come together and for a great cause, and that's raising money for treatment, research, and education on the surgical cure for obesity.
Awesome.
Well, what's cool about that is all of the information is going to be linked below.
I was just going to say the same thing.
And we're going to do the walk.
We are going to do the walk. We have it on our calendar.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when we first started our podcast, I think we were, it was less than a year. I know that. We actually did a virtual walk.
Yeah.
And we actually recorded the whole thing, and which I don't even know what happened to that footage, but anyways, we recorded the whole thing, and we were just we went live and we just walked around our local park, and it was really cool to be able to give something to where we were saying let's walk.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Let's support this. And I think it was the ASMBS.
Yeah, because it was the ASMBS first when we did the walk at the waterfront, and then the second one was actually for wlsfa. We were raising funds for them.
Yes.
So then this year we'll be back to ASMBS, and we're gonna do the virtual walk. So we're gonna have people join us. We're actually gonna try to have people join us locally. So we'll have Tanya on that, and I know she'll come and walk with us, and Katie.
Yeah, Tanya's our admin, and she's incredible. She's all over everything. Yeah, so we're like, okay, we want to do this, and she's like, I'm on it. So yeah.
So we'll get all of our people together here and go virtual.
We have quite a few benchies that are local.
Yeah, I know, it's so exciting.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. So yeah, we'll be joining you, which is
awesome.
Yeah,
that's good.
Tune into the lives and all of that.
Got to raise that money, man.
Yeah, we need to make this.
Wasn't that San Diego? Waterfront, that was San Diego, wasn't it? I think we did that. Is that which one you were talking about, waterfront or different?
We did it just by ourselves.
Yeah, it was our waterfront locally.
Okay.
Yeah,
but we have a waterfront in our Salem, Oregon, little tiny town. So and it was cold.
It was.
I remember it being very, very cold, and it was foggy that day.
Yep.
So but we were like, nope, we're doing this. We're gonna. I think it was a 3K. Or
it was
5K.
We did a 3K.
3K.
Yeah.
So just a little jaunt around. And,
Is it supposed to be a 5K?
It usually is a 5K, but really it's just getting out there, strapping the shoes on, just, putting the shoes on, and just like you said, hey, we're doing it. It elevates it in your brain to an event. Of course, we walk every day, but when you put a label on it and you're celebrating something and doing something, we did that one at WLSFA in Las Vegas when we were together. Yes. And there are a few people who, I've never done a 5K in my life, and that was their very first time. I mean, how exciting for people to, say they focus on this. It's like couch to 5K, whatever it is. It's just, it's an event that people can focus on and say, this is my day. This is for me, and I'm going to do it. And then the ultimate benefit for the walk from obesity is that you're raising awareness and you're raising money to give back to the community itself.
Right. And then you feel good after you get done with your walk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Awesome.
Well, Dr. Pesta, is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience before we let you go?
No, it's just been absolutely wonderful to, first of all, meet you guys. Like I said, I love what you do. And with the, our goal, as I mentioned earlier, when you look at other foundations, is to reach out. Traditionally it's been funded by, the physicians and surgeons that are involved with it. But as we expand our reach, we hope that we can encompass patients, industry partners. They're always great with us. But we really want to reach out so that we can reach that level of funding like some of these other major organizations, because we provide two $25,000 grants a year right now. But imagine if we had millions of dollars to give towards research, how we can then really impact the disease of obesity. So I just encourage everybody to check out our foundation website. You said you're going to link it there. And I just look forward to seeing you guys at your event and along everybody's journey. And I want to just say hi and congratulations to all your listeners and viewers. I'm just so proud of all that you do. And we love what we do because of how great you guys are. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Awesome.
I love it.
We love being in this community too. It's just, there's nothing like it. And it's just, when you find that passion project that can be like a full-time job and you love doing it every single day because it is like a passionate job, that's what we get to do. I was actually at Starbucks earlier this morning and the lady was like, "Oh, what are you doing today?" And I was like, "Oh, going to work, like, just normal." And she's like, "Oh, you really like your job?" And I'm like, "I love my job. Like I get to help people and I get to bring awareness to this huge community of people that are actually really, really cool. And we're not just over here dying.
Right.
Or gaining. Back. Like,
I have one more thought. And that, that goes for, you mentioned some great people that are really involved in the community. Some of my, closest colleagues, Dr. Dovick, Dr. Patterson, and there's so many others. There are a lot of us that are super passionate about that. But some patients may come across a surgeon who really isn't into it. And I just encourage, if you have one of those docs that, just isn't doing it for you, to look around, because, a lot of, we're willing to take patients and that aren't getting the feedback that they need from their docs. Because for some docs, and I met them in meetings, it's just a job to them. And if you're feeling that from the surgeon, I encourage you to look around. There's plenty of us around who are absolutely passionate about what we do and want to be a part of your journey as well.
Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that because we actually did not know that you could interview your surgeon.
Yeah, you guys can interview them. You don't have to go with them.
We did not realize that. We were lucky, and the ones our insurance sent us to are incredible. We love them. But some people are not that lucky. So if you are a part of that, like, get a hold of us, get a hold of Dr. Pesta, and let's get it figured out to where you get the surgeon that you deserve.
That's right.
Because everybody deserves to have a surgeon that actually cares about them and their journey, not as a whole, You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I do.
I'm still lagged. I'm still jet lagged.
Well, the Disney hangover.
Right?
Oh my God, it's so real.
And she's still wearing Disney.
I am. I'm wearing my 50th. Let me move that. My 50th.
I love it.
Thanks.
She's so cute.
I bought way too much stuff. So, I told my boyfriend, I was like, I'm bringing cash. This is all I'm spending, blah, 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 blah. I had a whole plan. Well, you walk into the Disney store and you're just like, I'll take this and 4 pairs of ears and we're good. We're good now. I literally walked into a store and I'm like, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I just bought 4 pairs of ears that I am probably not even going to wear this trip, but they came home with me. I have them now. And next trip I will probably buy 4 more. It's an addiction. It's a
I'm a huge fan. My wife skated for Disney on Ice for about 5 years when I was in residency. So I can probably do any line from Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and a few other Disneys. But yeah, it was great to see.
I would love to hear you do Aladdin.
I love Aladdin.
I love Aladdin.
Yeah. So maybe if you're here for the award show, we can set up a mic and you could sing a Disney song or 2.
I mean, I have control of all the mics, so we can do that.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm starting to think that maybe we should do a ASMBS walk in Disney because
look at her.
Literally the first day we were there, we did 2 parks, 16-hour day, 23,000 steps. The next day was supposed to be our chill day and we did 13,000. And then the last day was 25,000.
The last day was more than the first.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then I did Disney Springs on the day that I was supposed to just like mosey through Disney Springs, and that ended up being 10,000 steps. So
There you go.
I feel like Disney would be the perfect place to do a walk.
Easy to get those steps in, man.
Yes.
Amazing.
Okay.
All righty. Well, thank you, Dr. Pesta.
Thank you so much.
We love
we
you.
really appreciate you being on. Yes. All
My
right.
pleasure.
We love you guys, and we will see you
Next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.